Hi guys, welcome. Happy Monday. I hope you're having a good day. Welcome to this week's Nap Time series where I come to you right as soon as I get my daughter down at 1:30 every Monday, and we answer your questions. I answer your questions about brand strategy and design. Everything I talk about in these videos is stuff that I'm getting questions about from clients. It's things I'm getting messages about online. And so if you ever have questions, ask me, and I would love to make a video for you, or I'm always happy just to answer your questions. Today we're talking Instagram because I feel like this has been a huge trend in what I'm getting asked questions about. And so I'm really excited to talk about it. These tips can apply just to social media in general. So if you're more into like Facebook, that's great. You can definitely apply these, but I feel like as a brand designer, Instagram is one of those places. It's one of the only places where someone can go and literally see kind of like your entire brand visually represented in one place. And so like basically Instagram is like a mood board for your entire brand. And so with your profile up top and the grid down below, it fully represents the look of your brand to your customers. And so you can really utilize that, which is really awesome. And depending on your market, a large percentage of your business, your Instagram is either how your customers are going to like first discover you. It's like how they will find you at the very beginning, or will they look you up first? Like a lot of people, even before they, like Google you or before they go to your website, they follow you. That's the first thing that they'll do. They want to get to know you and they want to get to know your brand. And so how can you make sure that you're using this tool to represent your company well? So that's hard. To be cleared, we are talking specifically today about any profile that you're using to sell, that you're using for sales. So if you're just looking to build like a personal account with vanity metrics and you just are looking for followers, just kind of anybody, I just want numbers, that's not what this is about today. This is about, this is tips for people who have small businesses that are selling or advertising their products or services on Instagram. If your Instagram is personal, but you're still selling through it, these still apply. Okay, so real quick, I do want to talk about, I want to say that Entrepreneur Challenge closed last week, and I want to celebrate a little win. I know I talked about it a lot, and so I really, really appreciate, and both of you guys that are on here today have signed up, and so thank you all so much for signing up for the challenge. I can't even tell you how much it means to me, and I wanted to share a little win because I'm a brand new business, and I know other people are in that boat, and my goal for Entrepreneur Challenge, was the first month of business. I'm working part-time as a work-at-home mom, and my goal was to have 30 signups for Entrepreneur Challenge. 30. That's it. I can't ask for a million. I'm a brand new business, brand new. My goal was to have 30 people sign up, and I ended up with 52. And so I was really excited about that. That felt really, really good to really kind of like exceed that goal and to be jumping into the first month. I landed some work from it. I've got 3 new clients in the past month, and so I would call the challenge a success. I worked really, really hard on it, and I'm really happy to celebrate that with you guys. And so, and I just want to put that out there with real numbers because I always want to be transparent about who I am and where I'm at. And so, even if it seems like small numbers in the beginning, yay, thanks guys. That's a really big deal to me. And so that was really exciting. And so just remember to celebrate all the small wins. Okay, so getting into the nitty gritty, how can you make sure that you're using Instagram to represent your company well? So as a brand strategist, rather than giving you like a to-do list, I thought I'd just break down the 3 biggest mistakes that I see happen on Instagram. I don't claim to be an Instagram expert. I'm not a Instagram expert specifically, but I am a branding expert. And so I can tell you that same thing. I've just started out. I have under 200 followers, and I've still landed 3 high-paying clients from under 200 followers. And so that's the goal, is sales. Sales here, not just followers, sales. And so these tips work, I can tell you. And so I'm focused on the big picture. As a brand strategist, I'm focused on big picture, and that's how your customers are going to be focused too. When they first come on, they just want to see the big picture of your brand. So these tips aren't about like the times of day to post or beating the algorithm. These are more about looking at the big picture of your brand and how you're representing it on Instagram. Some people are about like posting before they've even kind of like gotten to the purpose of their profile. And so the who and the what and the why are the most important things. So remember, the goal here is sales, not followers. And so these tips may come across as a little tough love, but remember the key word in there is love. But I just feel like these are all things that need to be said, so I'm just saying them today. I want you to succeed. I love you. Okay, so first biggest branding mistake that you are making on your Instagram is, number one, you are not clear on what you do. What do you do? Do you ever get like salesy messages from people on Instagram? So they like send you a message and you're kind of like, okay, like, you know, maybe I'll be interested. You seem nice. And you go to their profile and then you can't even like really tell what they're selling. Like it's all like inspirational, you know, like quotes, and it's pictures of her with her laptop where she's like telling you to live your best life. But like you're kind of looking, going like, okay, I mean, this is like, I'm really inspired, but like, are you a coach? Are you, you know, like, are you a blogger? Are you selling a product? I can't even really tell what it is that I would like buy from you. And so when you're getting these messages, buy what? I don't know. And so people don't want to have to work to find out what you do. Your branding is, yes, it's all about personality, but first and foremost, people have to know what you do and how they can buy from you. So how can you get customers to buy if they don't know what you're selling? You have to tell them specifically and a lot. So this is a pro tip. If you're not really sure how to describe your business or what you do, think about what people would use to, oh, hey, Monica, thanks for jumping on. Yay, glad you're here. So if you are not sure how to describe your brand, think about what you would use to Google your brand. Like, what is the phrase that you would use that people would Google to find you? And then you put that phrase freaking everywhere. Put that phrase. You got to put it in your profile. You got to put it all over. What is that small, simple phrase that people are going to use to find you? Is it organic granola made in California? Or is it, you know, a business coaching for moms? You find that exact phrase and you can use that everywhere. So I want to show you there are 3 different places on your profile that you can utilize that are very underutilized. And so I want to make sure that you know what you can do with these. So here, let's see, I'm going to bring up, let's see, this is just the Deluxe Design profile. Don't mind my amazing cracked screen. So a few little tips, I'm going to go through these quickly, but these are all places that are very, very precious space on your Instagram. So here you have, so your logo, also very important. Make sure that you have something very recognizable. You have your name. You don't have to use your name. You already have, like, see, Deluxe, I already have it in my handle. I already have it in my logo. I don't need to have my name here again. This is a really nice space that you can tell people exactly what it is that you do. Or you can maybe even put, like, I think on my personal account, I have like Trisha C, brand designer. Oh, hey, thanks so much. We got a party today. Thanks so much for jumping on, Vicki. Good to see you. Okay, so we're talking Instagram profiles. So we're talking about precious, precious space. So you have your name. You do not have to use your real name. You can use a description of your business. Is a really easy way to do that. Your profile, I think it's 140 characters. This is precious, precious space, you guys. You have 140 characters to tell people what you do. If you are using this space to tell people that you, I help moms live their best lives, that's great. That's helpful. That at least gives people a reason to follow you, but they don't know what to buy from you. That still doesn't tell me if you're a coach. That still doesn't tell me if you're going to sell me essential oils, if you're going to sell me, I don't know, what are all the things that will help moms live their best lives. So you want to be really, really specific with this here. And then your link is extremely important. Make sure that's up to date. You can use that to promote anything recent. And that way you always have your link in profile. Next is your highlights, which I have not utilized, and so ignore that part, ignore that part on my profile, but please utilize these. I'm doing this part-time, and so I just do not have the bandwidth all the time, but this is extremely important space, and this is the space in your highlights that you can give your, like, really start to show your personal personality. So this is, I usually tend to recommend using your feed for business, for value. You can mix in some personal for sure, but I mean, in the end, people are going to be clicking here to see what they can buy. Your highlights is when you can really start to show people your personality. This is where you show your dog. Show your dog all you want. You can make a whole little highlight for your dog, and that's something that people can connect with you. But that doesn't necessarily mean that in this precious feed space, you're like covering the thing with pictures of your dog and you're trying to sell like wellness. So think about that. So using your highlights to show your personality, that's really, really precious space. And then your feed is where you want to post all of your big content. And so what you do, what you sell, you got to put it in here. You got to put it in here a lot. Hey, thanks so much for jumping on, Daniel. Good to see you. Yay. Yay, great group today. Okay, cool. So we're talking about how to utilize your profile on Instagram. So your feed is precious space, and you have to use these posts. Monica, Unsocially Inclined, who's here, this is something that she has talked about a lot, and something that I have learned a lot from her is that you have to say again and again what you do. You have to repeat it. You have to repeat it. Like, I feel like last month, hey, Daniel, hi. I feel like last month I talked about entrepreneur like all the time. I talked about entrepreneur all the time. I feel like I was like pushing it constantly. And there were still people like at the end of the month that were coming up to me and kind of saying like, hey, so what is this challenge? Like, oh yeah, I kind of saw something about that. What is it? And so making sure that you talk about it. You have to mention what you do, especially if you're promoting something specifically. You got to keep talking about it. You got to mention it. Even if it's just like a little blurb at the bottom of your post, you have a nice long, like, get some good value, some good content. We're going to talk about that in a minute. At the bottom, always put a call to action. You can just remind people, hey, by the way, I sell this. Link in profile. But you have to make sure that you're telling people what you do. So that's where your feed is very, very important, that you got to make sure that you're regularly still mentioning in your feed what you do, where to go to buy. Call to action. Okay, so that's number one. So the first biggest mistake that I see people making on their Instagram from a branding perspective is you are not clear on what you do. And so making sure that you're actually talking about it on a regular basis in your stuff. Daniel, talking about my podcast all the time. Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, some people may think that it's too much, that you're talking about your work too much, but then you're still going to hit other people that are kind of like, what? You have a podcast? And you're like, I've been doing this for like 4 years. And so that's fine and that's great, but you have to remember, that's so even if like some people think it's too much, for the most part, that doesn't tend to be a thing. Like maybe in real life, people might tend to like give you a hard time, but on Instagram, I think people are used to it at this point. And so having some sort of call to action, it doesn't have to be every single post. Don't make that every single post. This isn't about selling in every single post. You have to provide value, but you still have to remind people that what you do. What you do. Are you a coach? Are you, are you selling a product? Are you selling a service? What do you do? So that's tip number one. Number two, so the second biggest mistake that we see people making on Instagram from a brand strategy perspective is that your content is not consistent. Okay, so I did a post on this last week, but consistency equals recognizability. If your posts are all over the place, no one's going to recognize you. No one's going to really think about you as a whole. And so like, I'm using myself as an example, but it's like when you scroll through and you see like something peach come up, do you kind of think that like, that might be Trisha? I use peach everywhere. And that's okay, Vicki. You're saying, yikes, that's me. I get it. I get that. And so really, really trying to work on making sure that you have a consistent look. And so this is a little bit more work, you guys. I'm going to tell you now, it's a little bit more work. You want to make your own stuff. Make your own graphics. It's even better if it's your own quotes, like if you can actually use your own words. But even if it's somebody else's words, make sure you like quote them and put their name. But it's like if you have a consistent look to all of your quotes, even just something as simple as that is going to mix in, and all of a sudden, every time one of those quotes come up, you're like, oh, yep, that's a Katie quote. Oh, yep, that's a Vicky post. And so you want to make sure that when your posts come up, that people are associating it with the brand as a whole. Because I love a good repost every once in a while. A good repost can like bring you a lot of engagement, which is great. But if that's all you're posting, then no one's ever going to remember it's you. They're just going to like, you're giving the person that you're reposting, you're giving them followers. So make sure that the followers are coming to you. They're coming because it's your content. And so, why would anyone follow you if they can't really tell what you're going to post? And people want to know what to expect from you. They want to know what to expect when they follow you. There's a reason why they follow you. And so you got to make sure that you're still delivering. And so you can be consistent in a few different ways. Yes, you want to be consistent visually. As a brand designer, this is obviously something I'm like super picky about. But you can also be really consistent with your personality. And so even if you're posting like photos, so maybe you're posting like stock photos, which is, there's no shame in that. I've posted stock photos. Make sure you're getting licensed stock photos. Make sure you're getting ones that are okay to post for free. But make sure the personality in your post is consistent and that you're posting about consistent topics. And so that way, even if like people are just kind of like what your actual visuals aren't necessarily like have to be like something that you created from scratch, and that's a lot of pressure for every single post. But making sure that your personality is consistent, that people can come to you because they're like, I like her, like I like when she talks, I think it's really fun, I like to follow what she says, or like he is super educational, like he knows exactly what he's talking about. Make sure that you've chosen that niche and that you are consistently giving out that type of information. We're actually going to get to that in number 3. But that you are consistent with your personality and then consistent with your content. So what types of things that you post about. And so that way consistency is just key. That's what's going to get people to follow you and eventually what's going to get people to buy from you. So either way, a consistent look will get you recognized, which is huge. So that is number 2, not posting consistent content. Very important. Okay, and then number 3, the other biggest mistake I see on Instagram from a brand strategy perspective is you do not provide value. You don't provide value. If you're posting pictures of your dog and of your food and maybe an inspirational quote every once in a while, I think, no offense, same thing that we said, this was tough love and it's all coming from a place of love. But why are people going to follow? What is it that's going to make them want to follow you? And so like you're going to have like a standout, like knockout personality if you're going to get people to follow you when you just, or buy from you if you're just posting about your dog. So making sure that you're actually providing value. So this is probably the biggest reason why you might not be making sales from your Instagram is you're not providing value. Why would someone spend money on you when you haven't proved what you're saying works? You have to prove that you know what you're talking about, and then you have to put it out there regularly, and you have to show people. Why would they give you money if you haven't really demonstrated what you do? And so like I always try to talk about like small wins. Like if every single one of my posts, if I can give you guys one small win from that post, like even if it's just like a really good motivation of kind of like, oh yeah, like this is a really good intention for today, or like, oh, that was a really interesting tip, I had no idea, or that's something that I can really think about this week, is I really want to make sure that you guys get some small win out of every post. So in general, there are 4 reasons why people follow your company. So there's a bunch of different like lists of this, and I'm sure you can find other versions of this, but in my mind, there are 4. Motivation, education, inspiration, and entertainment. So motivation, people are going to get motivated by your profile and your posts. Education, they're coming to learn something from you. Inspiration, so like you're a designer or a photographer, and so you're providing inspiration to other accounts. Or entertainment, that they're going to be entertained by your posts in some way. You post memes, or you post, like funny stories along with everything. But those are the ways that you're going to provide actual value with every post. And so ideally your post will have a few of these traits, and you're mixing kind of all of these in as much as possible. So like for Deluxe Design, I focus on education. That's like my first and foremost, is that I want to show you that I know what I'm talking about and I want to help. That's my job, is I want to be of service. I want to educate you. And so I hope that I do that on a regular basis. But I also want to make sure that I am a designer. And so although I'm not targeting designers, I would think I would be posting a lot more like design, just inspiration, and just kind of like check out these business cards I made if I was trying to appeal to other designers. But my target is small businesses. And so my target is to provide education and inspiration to small businesses. And so how can I do that for you? And so I've been very strategic about the type of content that I post. And then I try to keep my copywriting entertaining as much as possible, and I do live videos like this. And if y'all saw my live video like 2 weeks ago, I did some pretty sweet impressions. And so trying to keep the entertainment value up as well. And so I'm going to go through those again, doing these consistently, y'all. Motivation, motivating people. Every post needs to have one of these four, at least one of these four. Motivation, education, inspiration, or entertainment. Value. So that is the third tip. And the third mistake that I see people making on Instagram is they're not providing any value. And so you want to give people a reason to follow you, and then you want to provide that value consistently. And so that's it. So those are my top 3 tips for today. Those are the 3 biggest branding mistakes I see people making on Instagram. I'm going to go through them again very quickly. Is you're not clear on what you do. So you're not utilizing every part of your profile page. You got to utilize every part, from your logo to your profile description to your link to your name to your highlights to your feed. You want to make sure that every part of your profile is clearly demonstrating what you do, so that way people don't have to guess and search for it. And you want to make sure that people know how to buy. So is your link in your bio. 2, you're not posting consistent content, so people don't know what to expect from you and they don't recognize you when you post. Oh, yay, good. Thanks, Katie. I'm so glad. I'm going to say those words all day long. Memorize them. I'll put them in the IGTV. I'll post this to IGTV and I'll put this in the description. And then number 3, you don't provide value. So your content isn't motivational, educational, inspirational, or entertaining. If you want to make consistent sales, you have to put all of these into practice. And so that's it for today. Were these helpful for you? Please let me know. Please DM me if you have questions, like content, like, oh, yay, thanks, Donna. Amazing information. I love to hear that. And so, yeah, if you have questions, I'm like a huge nerd about this stuff. Let's chat. Let's talk about it. DM me or email, link in profile. That's where you can find me. And then I'll see you next Monday. I'm back here every Monday. And now that I know that Instagram is kind of a big, pull for people, I'm really excited. So I'll start talking about this stuff more. And so I'll see you next Monday, you guys. Monday, 1:30 p.m. Back here Pacific time. And thanks, guys. Great info, great tips, amazing information. Thanks, guys. It makes me feel so good. And so have a great day. Love y'all. Talk to you soon.